Hey there, this is Benjamin McShannock from Ben Flips Cars, and this is part 2 on several touch-ups you should do to every single car you sell so that you can ultimately sell it for more money and a higher profit. For more on every step of the car flipping process, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next weekly upload. As we said in the previous video, we want to basically make it so the car's like new, and so the new owner has to do zero work to it. Next, we want to clean out the interior of the car, and as you can see on this car, the interior is quite dirty. There's a lot of random things laying around in it, so we're going to be able to make a big difference with this, and I'm excited to see the outcome. The first thing you want to do before you even clean anything is to check your cabin air filter, which is behind the glove box in most cars and easy to access on this. Let me show you how. So all we're going to do is remove the glove box by squeezing the two edges together so that it slides out like that, and then the cabin air filter, as you can see on the camera I believe, if you slide this little latch over, and then you can pull this out. As you can see, this brings out well, it's not a traditional filter, but it's more like a mesh net. You want to clean this out, and the reason you do this before cleaning any of the interior is because, as you can see, there's a lot of dirt in it, and that can fall out and get onto your carpet, which is obviously pretty frustrating if you just finished out vacuuming your carpets. Oftentimes your car's cabin air filter is going to look something more like this, and you can get a customizable one to replace this that looks more like that one, but I'm happy with this for this old car. If you do have a really filthy air cabin filter similar to this one and you need a new one of it, just go to your local auto store like Super Cheap Auto, tell them the make, model and year of your car, and they should be able to give you the correct replacement one. So we're just going to give it a good clean out with the vacuum, and if you have a high pressure hose you can spray that through it as well. Just be careful you don't ruin the mesh, but it should help clean out a lot of the dirt. So here we go, let's clean this out with our vacuum cleaner. And make sure you do the other side as well. And there we go. Now this is going to go in so much cleaner. You could even vacuum inside of where the air cabin filter spot is in the car, but I'm not going to bother in this case. This will do just fine for this older car. Reinstall the air cabin filter the same way you took it out. Make sure it's the same orientation. You can see I don't want the writing to be upside down. Slot it in, jiggle it around a bit till it gets into place, and then slide it over to lock it in. And there we go. Cabin air filter's back in. Put the glove box back on its latches, slide it on up through, and there we go, glove box is back in place as well. With the air cabin filter done, now we can get on to actually cleaning out the interior. First we want to just take out any loose bits we don't need, just like the paper and dirt in the doors, things like the coins in the cup holder and other random stuff in the glove box, water bottle on the door. Let's get all that out, show you what we find and see what goodies the old owner left in it. Be sure you pull out any floor mats as well and make sure there's nothing under them. Oh God, these floor mats have seen better days, but we should be able to clean them up and get them looking all right as well. When you're working on the front, you can recline the seat all the way back, make sure there's nothing under it there. There's going to be heaps to vacuum up. And same thing when you're working in the back seat, recline that seat all the way forward so you get access to everything that might be hidden under the back end of that seat. Don't forget to also check the glove box and places like that for any loose stuff as well that might not be necessary. Obviously leave the owner's manual in there, but other stuff like this old L plate might not need that. Also, this car's a 7-seater, so don't forget to put the seats down and then fold up those back 7 seats and look for crap under them as well. We want to take out this filthy boot mat. We're going to give that a good clean, even though it's not in the best of conditions, as you can see. There we go. Now with the 7 seats folded up, we can see it's just dirt here. Nothing we need to pull out. We'll vacuum that all out after. Here we go. Here's a look at some of the stuff we found. Some sort of bungee cord, a couple of drink bottles, L plate, umbrella, $6 worth of coins, other spare parts of the car. It looks like the old hood cable came out at some point, which perhaps that's what that is. A bunch of other stuff. Now that that's cleaned out, we can get to vacuuming. Now, as you can see, the floors basically all over this car are absolutely filthy. Dirt all over them, so the vacuum is going to clean the absolute majority of this out. And if you're selling a car, I would say vacuuming the floors is absolutely non-negotiable. I've already taken the carpets out, so you can vacuum them separately before you put them back into the car. So we can clean the front passenger floor properly, we're going to want to recline the seat back as far as it goes, get the vacuum as far under there as we can. The reason I say vacuuming is an absolute non-negotiable when you're selling a car is because it makes the biggest difference when it comes to the interior clean. Just look at the difference it's making now in this time lapse as I vacuum the passenger footwell. You You can already see the amazing difference that just vacuuming the carpet's made. You also want to try and get into the railings here on each side and around the side of the seat. These small details make the difference, and of course under the seat. Even places like in this door bin here could suck up some excess dirt, and you can even vacuum into the seats, which is going to help to get out some of this crap in the corner here. You just want to do that for every single carpet, every single bit of floor, all the seats, the boot. So let's get onto it. You can also vacuum like places inside your glove box, bits of the console in here, stuff like that. It's going to help to get some of that loose dirt out before we properly clean it later on. Now that we're moving on to the rear seats, remember, once again, move that front seat as far forward as you can. And because this is a 7-seater, you can even recline this seat back, which it already is as far back as it goes. And that's going to allow you to get all the dirt out from under the seats. Also, don't forget places like the door bins. I think I forgot to say that before. Beautiful. Now we've vacuumed out the boot, looking much better. Let's not forget to do the 7 seats. First, let's make sure we do it with just the seat backs up, not with the seats, the actual seats slotted in yet, so we can get all this dirt out from underneath. Also, don't forget to vacuum in places like here and get all the dirt out of them, as they can hide a lot of dust dirt down at the bottom. Check out all this dirt we've got in our catcher. Watch the ridiculous amount coming out. Bloody hell, this car definitely needed a clean out. And now that that's all done in there, we're going to move on to, and if we look underneath these, you can see how dirty these are under here as well. So let's push those seats forward and vacuum out all of this as well. And this is how it's come up. It's much better, but you can see there's still plenty of dirt left in there that wasn't going to come out with the vacuum, but that's all right. We're going to come and scrub all that out later on. And of course, don't forget to hit the actual seats themselves. And there we go. Now everything inside our car looks much better, much cleaner. The vacuuming really does go a long way, and that's why I say it's an absolute bare minimum and a must do whenever you're selling a car. If you really want to get the car's floor carpets looking immaculate, and even the seats you can use it on, you should use one of these extractor vacuums. It'll help you get out little bits of dirt like that. Basically, it has a cleaning solution mixed up. You spray it onto here, and then with the brush this has, rub that stain out and then suck it up with the special liquid vacuum head. And then for any tougher stains that still won't come out, you can use something like this Hyper Cleanse by Lithium. It's a really powerful stain remover, and you can just suck that up with the extractor vacuum as well. Something like these, what look like grease stains in the back here, that might be something that the Hyper Cleanse might get out, but the extractor vacuum might not by itself. For this particular car, I don't think it's completely necessary to use the extractor vacuum on every inch of it. On a newer car, I definitely would, but just for these more obvious stains like that and that, I will be using the extractor vacuum, just so the exterior does look pristine and really clean. And the extractor vacuum solution will also make the car smell a lot nicer and a lot newer. So this is just an example of how the extractor vacuum works. So as I said, first spray the solution onto the carpet, then you give the solution a good rub, a good scrub with that brush, and then that should rub out all the stain. Then you just suck up all the dirt and the stain with the special liquid vacuum head. And you can see just from that one stain how much dirt was sucked out of the carpet that didn't come out with just a normal vacuum. All right, we've vacuumed out pretty much all our carpets. You can see everything's pretty much stain free now, so it makes it look that just a little bit better. Seats are looking pretty good as well. I touched up some of them that had some stains on them. The boot even looking a bit better. Still got to do these plastics, that's what I'm going to show you next. But we've basically finished all our carpets and seats. And now it's time to move on to cleaning all the plastics in the interior. Now for literally all the plastics on the interior, for stains like this, all this dirt in here, all of that, we're going to use these simple things here. So what we're going to do, this has just got some soapy water mixed up in it, so just a teaspoon of dish soap mixed in with some hot water. We're going to spray that onto the dirty area, and then we're going to brush it. Just the detailer's brush isn't enough most of the time, but if it's more stubborn dirt, you can use a harder nail brush like this. And then once you've brushed all that dirt and agitated it all, you can wipe it off with a microfiber towel. Any even tougher stains that won't come up with just the hard brush, you can use the Lithium Hyper Cleanse once again, which we were using for the stains on the carpets and seats as well. And then for most of the plastics, we're going to use this protectant to bring back the shine and protect all of the plastics. The only parts we're not going to use the protectant on is steering wheel, because obviously that can make the steering wheel slippery and that's not safe. The pedals as well, you don't want to make the pedals slippery. free. And also because the protectant is so shiny, you don't want to use it on the top of the dash here because the sun could shine off into your eyes and blind you while driving. Otherwise, literally all the other plastics are fine to put the protectant on. So here's an example. So first what we want to do, hit it with all that soapy water, give it a nice good soaking, and then brush the plastic trim with a soft brush or a hard brush for the more stubborn dirt. And now that all the dirt's been agitated out of the plastic, we can just wipe it all away with our microfiber towel. And then with everything clean, we can apply our protectant. Be nice and generous, spray it all over the plastic trim, and then rub it in with your brush, spread it out nicely, leave it to soak for a minute, and then buff any excess off with a clean microfiber towel. And finally, after many hours on this big car with all its 7 seats and everything, we've pretty much finished our interior clean. It's not perfect, which is okay for this older car, and unfortunately lots of bits of dirt on it are really kind of baked in, but looks a hell of a lot better than it did. We got out so much dirt, so much other random crap. The seats and carpets are looking much better. It's going to smell much fresher after using the extractor vacuum. And we also made sure to not forget things like our sun visors up here, things like the shit yourself handles, as I call them, inside the glove box even. Also parts like down here behind where those seats retract for the 7 seats. Don't forget stuff like that, all that sort of thing. You don't want to forget all those little things. And with that, we can now move on to our engine bay clean. Oh, hang on, I knew I was forgetting something. So now we're just going to clean off everything that we've taken out of the car, like the floor carpets here. Cup holders, this little thing, even the fuse box cover. You don't really need to do that. I just so happen to have it off, so I'll clean it out. So with the floor mats, it really is just the same as cleaning the rest of the floors inside of the car. So first just give it a standard vacuum, then you can hit it with your extractor vacuum to get out any extra stains and dirt. And then for cleaning any other loose plastics that you've taken out of the car, exact same as before, hit them with the soapy water, and then agitate all the dirt out of them with a brush, and then wipe them all down with a clean microfiber towel and apply some protectant at the end. One thing I did forget to mention was the big boot mat. This thing was absolutely filthy, so my best idea for this was just to absolutely soak it with our extractor vacuum mixture and then give it a really, really good scrub down. And I also used some of the hyper cleanse on it, mixed it in with the extractor vacuum, so basically I could give it the best scrub down possible, lift a lot of that dirt up, and then I sucked it as much as I could up with the extractor vacuum. And then it did come out fairly good after that, but after drying it turned back to quite a brown colour. So then I applied some of the protectant, and believe it or not, that actually really did restore it back to black quite well. What's a point that I've mentioned so far that's been unexpected or surprising? Let me know in the comments below. If you missed part 1 on all the touch-ups you should do to any car before selling it, I'll pop it up here in the corner. Check it out after you finish watching this video. Now that we've finished cleaning the interior, we want to move on to what's more or less the final stage, and that is cleaning out your car's engine bay. As you can see, this particular engine bay is absolutely filthy, so I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do to it. Probably hasn't been cleaned since the day it rolled out of the factory. Now the first thing we want to check, similar to when we were cleaning the interior, instead of the cabin air filter, we're going to check this intake filter here. It's going to be inside this box here, and you can tell that because you've got the intake that runs that tube down into where the filter's going to be, and also this tube runs out the back into the intake manifold, which is a set of components here. And from the intake manifold, that air is going to go into the combustion chamber to create combustion with the fuel and the spark. So most of the time it's really easy to open up these air boxes. It's just simply clips. So we're going to undo all of them all around the sides of the box, and then once those clips are undone, we can simply lift this up and out of the way, and you can see our intake filter here, and this is the side that filters out all the dust, and it is absolutely filthy, as you can see. The other side's not as bad, but that's still pretty dirty considering that's the side that doesn't even filter the dust out necessarily. We're going to want to replace this, and also you can see inside the air intake box that's quite dirty as well, so we're going to get the vacuum cleaner in there and suck all that dirt out. Also, whilst you're at it, you might as well check inside the tube that goes into the engine. You really don't want any dirt in there, don't want any dirt going into the combustion chamber. That looks quite clean, so no worries there. Now the good news is here, you don't need anything fancy, just your standard household vacuum is going to do the trick. And as you can see, that cleaned out any loose dirt. There is still some stubborn dirt stuck down the bottom, and you could brush that out if you want, but with this particular car that's not going to be necessary, so I'm not going to bother. If you want to do that, you could just simply use some soapy water and a brush once again and wipe it out with a microfiber towel. Now, as I said, this old filter is really absolutely filthy, so we should replace it because it's going to help the engine run better and improve our fuel economy a little bit. So what you can do is go to your local auto store and get yourself a replacement filter. It's A1575 for this particular car. If you tell them your car's make and model, they should be able to give you the correct replacement filter. I got this one from Super Cheap Auto. You can see it's a slightly different look and style to the old one, but it'll do the job just fine. So we're just going to want to make sure it goes in the correct orientation, make sure it's nice and flush. You can cover it back up with the box, shove that on, make sure it seals tight, and then do all the clips back up. And there we go, with that all clips back up, we now have a clean air intake filter. Now let's move on to the rest of the engine bay. So for our engine bay clean, we're basically going to want to hit the entire engine bay with degreaser, except for the battery. And then once we've got degreaser all over the engine bay, we're going to want to let it soak in for a little bit, and then brush all the dirt off that the degreaser lifts up with a brush. Then finally, once you've done that, you can rinse all the dirt off in the engine bay with low pressure water. Don't use high pressure water because that can force its way into electronics in the engine bay and cause issues down the line. Then dry and rub off any remaining dirt with a microfiber towel. Finally, to make sure all those black plastics stay nice and shiny and black, instead of going into that grey dull colour, apply a protectant or a dressing to all of them whilst the engine bay is still a bit damp. This will make it easier to rub in with a clean brush, and after letting that protectant soak for a little bit, you just want to buff the remainder off with a clean microfiber towel. Now your plastics in the engine bay will be looking nice and shiny, almost like new. And for the final touch, just like all the other jams we talked about, door jams, boot jams, etc., you just want to first hit it with some soapy water, then you want to agitate all that dirt out of the jams with a brush, and then you can wipe it all away with a microfiber towel, and it should come out quite clean. And as you can see, that engine bay is now looking so much better. It's not perfect, but it is an engine bay. It doesn't have to be, especially on this older car, and it makes it look a lot more presentable and a lot more clean, which is just what you want. If you're a bit more patient, you could have gotten some of the dirt off down up by the side here, or more off the back of these hoses up here. I should have done along the seal there, but once again, for this older car, I'm happy with the outcome. Finally, if the state or province that you're flipping cars in requires a roadworthy certificate for the car to be transferred to the next person, you're going to want to get one of them. Also, you should ideally get 3 months of rego for the next owner. Also, it's about $250 for a roadworthy certificate and about $200 for 3 months of rego. This might sound like a lot all in all, but trust me, for how much quicker the car's going to sell, because no one wants to go through the inconvenience of getting a roadworthy or rego, it's going to be well worth it. This is why it's so important to buy a car with a roadworthy certificate in the first place to flip, or one that you're very confident is going to be able to get a roadworthy certificate, because otherwise a mechanic or an auto body shop is going to charge you a lot of money to get the car roadworthy. You can get a roadworthy certificate done at a lot of mechanics, and for registration, if you have no plates, you'll have to pick them up from, in this case it would be Vic Roads in my state, whatever the transport hub is, that's where you would go to get them. I believe you should be able to do the rego online, but you might also have to go to a service hub if the rego's expired on the car. Once again, if you missed part 1 to touch-ups you should do on a car before selling it, I'll leave it up here in the corner and you can go check that out. Please like the video for the algorithm, subscribe so you don't miss the next weekly video, and comment with any questions you may have. I'm Benjamin McShannock, and thank you for watching Ben Flips Cars.